everybody, and welcome to another edition of A Girl and Her Glock. Today's episode will be Gun Basics number 4, going to a public shooting range for the first time. Now, since I live in the city, most of my shooting range experience has been on indoor ranges, but a lot of this advice will be applicable to outdoor ranges as well as indoor ranges. So let's get started. My first tip, and probably the most important one, is to be familiar with the range rules. Most ranges have websites that have the rules posted on them, so it's a good idea to review them and know before you go. But if for some reason you can't do that, they'll provide you a copy of the rules, and they'll usually have it posted 3 or 4 different places, so there's not an excuse for not knowing it. You should, for example, know if you're allowed to draw from a holster or not, or things like that. If you know the rules before you go shooting, it prevents, misunderstandings and surprises and makes the experience more pleasant for both you and the range staff because they won't have to correct your misunderstandings. And tip number 2, which follows that, would be always obey the RSOs or range safety officers. If they call a ceasefire or ask you to stop for any reason, immediately put your gun down, keep the muzzle pointed down range, and back up from the shooting table, and do not touch your gun until they tell you that it's okay to start shooting again. If they tell you to stop shooting, you personally to stop shooting without calling a ceasefire, don't argue with them, put the gun down, and find out what's going wrong and what the problem is, and if there's anything that you can do to correct it. And number 3 is be polite to everybody else on the range. Make sure that you're not sweeping people with your muzzle, that you're not hitting targets that aren't yours, that you clean up your brass after you're done. Most people in the gun world are very polite and understanding about beginners and more than willing to help. So if you're polite and respectful and you need you need something, you have a question or something's going wrong, if they know that you're polite and respectful and they can see that, most of them will be more than happy to help you with whatever problem that you have. But if you're rude, you'll find you get a lot of cold shoulders, so it's just best to be polite. And let me think. Let me see what I haven't covered. Number 4 would be this applies to indoor ranges. You'll notice if you go to an indoor range, the entrance has 2 doors and the exit has 2 doors. And in between those 2 doors is a small room that we call the airlock room. You always want to make sure that you close one of those doors before you open the other, because otherwise the people in the lobby who don't have their ear protection on will be treated to the sound of gunfire from multiple guns, and most people don't like that. That is not a way to make friends on the range. You'll just get a bunch of people screaming at you to close the door and calling you every name in the book for doing that. So if you want to make friends at the range, definitely make sure that you protect their hearing. And I would also give the tip of, do not go forward of the firing line unless the RSO is called all clear and has told you that it is okay. This mostly applies to outdoor ranges where you might have to go down and change your targets. In most indoor ranges, they have the automatic retrieval systems, which eliminates the need to go downrange. But if you're at an outdoor range and you need to go downrange to change your targets, definitely don't go over that firing line unless you've told the range safety officer and they've called a ceasefire and they've given you the okay to do so, because otherwise you might end up shot. And I would say that my last tip would be to make sure that you either go, if you're a new shooter, you haven't shot before, to make sure that you go to the range either with an experienced shooter, or that you take a class, basic intro to handguns course from the NRA, because you want to make sure that you either know what you're doing or with somebody who knows what they're doing, so you don't make, possibly deadly mistakes. Range safety officers will be there to help you out, but it's not their job to teach you to shoot. So you definitely want to know how to shoot before you go by yourself. Yeah, definitely know how to shoot before you go by yourself. Anyway, I hope this video has been informative. I hope you've enjoyed it. And now I will show you a quick video that I took today at my favorite range, which is Shooter's World in Tampa, Florida. It's me shooting my Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 9mm with ZVS ammo. And I hope thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.